Hi everyone, we are Josie and Charlie. We'd love to show you into our house. Come on in.
We're kicking things off in the entrance hall, which is one of the oldest rooms in the house, but hopefully it feels cozy and welcoming, and that was the aim. When we first moved in, the house was very much a blank canvas, and we kind of went with one sort of slightly off-white colour throughout in terms of the corridors and hallways, and I think that over time, we might review that.
I think one of the biggest learnings in this room was that we really needed to add fabrics. For so long, for the first 2 years, we didn't have cushions on the windows and we didn't have the curtain that you are currently stood right next to. And it still felt a little bit cold, didn't it? So our challenge has been to make these rooms feel really warm and cozy. And we found that the way to do that is by bringing in as much fabric as possible. In this house, we do love a dramatic entrance. So may we present you with the drawing room. So this is definitely our favorite room at this time of year. As you can see, it's where we've got our tree. At the moment, this tree is filled with a mixture of really personal ornaments. It's got lots of memoirs, but also some natural touches as well. We've got some hydrangeas, we've got some pink pepperberry. You're quite precise with your Christmas tree decorating.
There's certainly a bit of a science in my eyes with distributing the decorations. And I think it's interesting that we're in this room. Obviously, we're here with Lick today, and we brought Lick inside the house, and this is probably the only room in the house that will never see a lick of paint, where we're really fortunate. We've got it's original oak panelling in terms of the design. It was modelled on the original panelling. Unfortunately, the original panelling was actually stolen from the house in the 1920s, way before our time.
And with so many of the rooms in the house with the furniture, it's a real mix of old antique pieces, newer pieces which look quite old and antique-y, but nothing in this house is too perfect that you don't want to sit down. You know, we wanted every room to feel really cozy, really inviting.
And this room, I would say, is one of the first rooms where we really started to take inspiration from Soho House, and particularly Soho Farmhouse. I'd say in here, the lighting, particularly given the fact that it's a really cozy evening room, the lighting has been key. And we've added lots of table lamps, a couple of floor lamps alongside the wall lights. And it just gives you that option when it comes to setting the mood in a room.
One of our personal favorites are these battery-powered lights from Pookie. So Charlie actually recharges these, and they're fantastic if you're also having a dinner party, maybe outside in the summer. Sometimes I pinch a few from the house and take them into my greenhouse, and you can just leave them on tables and not have wires. I'd say that's something that our guests are always like, oh, where are they from?
We are also very fortunate that we've got lots of panelling throughout the house, and one of the rooms that we've painted and loved the effect that the paint has given is our master bedroom.
So this is our master bedroom, very, very cozy room. As far as master bedrooms go, it's quite a spacious one, so we had a little bit of fun with the furniture in here. This is what you see here furniture-wise is actually our second attempt at a lot of the furniture.
So this room is probably the perfect example of how taste can change and evolve over time. So if we take you over here, the master bed and the bedside tables, while lovely, we bought these when we first moved in, which is nearly 3 years ago, and I would say that we have evolved and our tastes have become a lot more traditional. Initially, when we moved in, we weren't mad on the idea of having loads of old, dark wooden furniture, but actually over time, and the more places we visited, we've learned to appreciate the importance of that in an English home.
I think we were kind of inspired by the furniture to give the room a little bit of a French vibe, and so we decided to accentuate the panelling here by adding some gold touches. And our painter decorator Andrew,
It's gold leaf, isn't it?
Is it gold leaf?
I think it is gold leaf.
I'm not sure. He's very talented, and we wanted it to look as though it had always been here. We didn't want any of the rooms to really have that freshly painted look, so he almost painted it, and then I think he used an old flannel, one of my face cloths, to buff away a little bit of the paint. And the gold inlay just really helps draw the eye to the detail of the panelling, which is an effect that we really love throughout the house.
Yeah. I do think though, once again, like the entrance hall, this room is one room that we would probably be tempted in the future to maybe bring in a slightly darker colour to the walls. When a space is big like this, sometimes the lighter colour on the walls can actually make it feel almost too big. And I think when it's a master bedroom, as lovely as it is and the size, you want it to feel cosy and calming. So I think maybe at some point we might consider something a bit different in here.
Can I show you my favourite fun fact in this bedroom? Come over here. So a lot of the villages in this area are very known for witches. A lot of the villages around here have got witch in the name, so Witchford, Shipton under Witchwood, and on our fireplace, because in the medieval times they believed that witches would come down the chimney, they actually carved these circles into the stone as a way of warding off evil spirits.
Anti-witch marks.
Anti-witch marks.
One of our aims when we bought this house was to support as many British brands as possible, and we have gone for putting stoves in some of the fireplaces, both obviously because they're much more economical and they're also, I think, a nice way of framing what are quite big open spaces. So this is from Charmwood, which is a British company, family run, I think 3rd generation now, and they're made in the Isle of Wight. So that's something that we were certainly very passionate about when we were designing these spaces.
Lovely. Newest addition to this room are the rugs, which are from Soho Home, which very nicely leads us on to
my dressing room.
Let's go.
Great segue, mate.
No,
well done.
Smashed it. Okay, do you want to do the big reveal, darling? Yeah. Okay, take it away.
I will do the big reveal.
Dun, dun, dun.
Here we go, after you. Welcome to my dressing room. This is the most newly painted and renovated room in the house. The paint is Green 05 Rome House, and it's this lovely, deep, earthy, matte green colour, which has really helped bring the outside in this room. When we had this room put in, it was around 2 years ago, and I think at the time, because we had lots of projects going on in the house, we felt a bit rushed on paint colours, and I do regret that. And I think that would be one thing, and one bit of advice to any of you that are thinking about renovating rooms. Take time carefully to consider both the fabrics and the paint colour. Don't be forced to rush into decision. So I lived with it for 2 years, and it was a nice colour. But then when this colour came out and we had this opportunity with Lick, I jumped at the opportunity to refresh the room, and I couldn't be happier with it. And I think it's also encouraged me. We've added some texture with this lovely runner. I think this is from Ochre. Some nice little artwork pieces. I'm very attached to Defenders now that we live out in the Cotswolds. This was a purchase from Dalesford, which is quite local to us.
And I said to him, darling, I could have done that with a Sharpie and saved you a load of money.
I think the green in here is it's actually weirdly, even though it's quite a dark colour, it's made the room feel bigger. And I think actually, the change in this room has then inspired us to consider other darker colours throughout the house.
Well, I don't think you were ever really in love with this room when it was a different colour, but now that it's had this new, fresh green colour, I feel like you really love this room now.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, it's a cliche to say this, but it's amazing what a difference a fresh lick of paint can make to a space, and how it can really impact how you feel in that room. And obviously I'm super fortunate to have this room and this space, but before, when it wasn't quite the colour I liked, I'd be lying if I said I enjoyed being in here. So it's made a really big difference to my day.
I think the new green colour as well, it also works so nicely with your brass finishing touches. Yeah. People even said, oh, you've got new doorknobs. No, they just look better.
Quite a few people have commented on that. And then I guess, I'm embarrassed to show you this, but also equally proud. Now we live out in the country, I have found that my sort of daily uniform almost always involves a gilet. So I thought, given that, a whole rail needed to be devoted to the gilet. The humble gilet. So I have a bit of a collection. I have now got a 1 in, 1 out policy. And I certainly...
got that on camera now.
Yeah, you've got that on camera. The area in every room in this house has some sort of quirk or pre-existing historical thing. Is my little quirky cupboard. We're not really sure what this would have been before, but it's now become my sort of grooming and skincare cupboard.
That's where my La Mer ended up. Cheeky monkey. Right. And then if we spin you around, Charlie's latest antique purchase is this epic mirror. Very important to have a big mirror in a dressing room. Claymore Rare Old Scotch, which is fascinating for a non-drinker.
Yeah, for those of you that might not know, I'm actually a teetotaler. However, when I came across this mirror, I just thought it brought character to this wall and light in, and it makes the space feel bigger without being one solid mirror. So I'm really happy with that. And yeah, it's a throwback to my advertising days when I was young and thought I was a young Don Draper. But maybe not.
Okay, well, I don't know about you, darling, but I'm craving a cup of coffee, so should we head down to the kitchen?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Wait!
Okay, coffee time.
And as we alluded to earlier, it isn't just two of us that live in this house. We also share our house with two little mad sausage dogs, Dexter and Dickens, both equally as hilarious as the other. They moved from London with us. They made the journey. If any of you have Dachshunds, you'll know that this is very much true, that when you have Dachshunds, you sort of learn to live alongside them rather than with them, don't you? They're kind of just as integral to the house. When we were choosing a paint for the room through here, we let Dexter choose the colour. We put the two colours on the floor, and he went to one colour. And we thought, given that the dogs sleep through in the pantry, and given it's essentially their bedroom, we thought that they deserved the opportunity to choose the paint colour. So if any of you are as mad as us about dogs, then why not let them choose your future colours? Recently, we have become rather obsessed with the colour green. I guess that comes from both the outside and the fact that we live in the English countryside and it's very green and we feel very fortunate to be living here.
I think it's also a very calming colour. Because it's a natural colour, it just evokes that sense of calm. And also the room behind you is actually painted pink. And I think pink and green, whether subliminally or
they
consciously,
work well together, don't
they do work really nicely together.
We call this room family room, I guess.
But it's a really nice, soft, quite a natural kind of pink. It's not too overly feminine. And I think pink and green as complementary colours. As Charlie said, the two rooms connect really nicely. And then we've got a lot of green with the furnishings. So the sofa, which is Dickens' favourite place to have his morning, afternoon and evening schnoozles. The lampshades, the window cushion. So lots of green elements to really tie it in. But I think the pink goes nicely.
And I think I would say that maybe aside from a few small tweaks, because I always believe that no room is ever fully finished, and that's the enjoyment you get from building and growing into a home. But this room feels probably one of the most finished rooms, I would say. I think the big thing in here is the lighting. We definitely took inspiration from Soho House, once again, with the different lighting, different levels, and different textures to the lampshades. I think it's quite nice that the lampshades on the wall, they're much a block colour and a block fabric, so they add texture and the light goes up and down. Whereas the floor lamps and the table lamps, the light kind of disperses through a bit more.
Yeah, you will notice in this house there are very few ceiling lights. Actually, in the kitchen is probably one of the only rooms in the house that has ceiling lights. But I think it just makes it feel really cosy.
Yeah, and this is a very cosy room in the evening. Josie and I think we feel very fortunate. We work well together as a team. So when it comes to decorating a space, I think Josie certainly has the bigger picture ideas in terms of the colours she's thinking of. I like getting involved in more the finer details, either how we solve a problem, so how we hide something like a security sensor, or how we look at achieving the look that we're going for, which is kind of certainly not modern in any way, but certainly not old-fashioned. It's kind of a midpoint in between.
I think we're both quite confident in how we want the house to look and feel, and we've got quite a solid style. As we said in the drawing room, these rooms are not perfect showroom rooms. We want people to come in, put their feet up on the sofa, dogs are allowed upon the furniture, and just everywhere feels super cozy. Not too perfect.
100%. We're thinking maybe your dressing room's next, or certainly the top floor of the house that we are yet to show you, which has been almost entirely untouched. We've styled it in terms of furniture, so each room is usable. We've got 2 guest rooms up there. We've got a snug room, Josie's dressing room and filming room, which is obviously very important to the business. But all of those rooms are going to need a proper decorating and sort of a finer detail, a finer touch at some point, aren't they?
So we need to take these boys for their afternoon walk. So thank you guys so much for coming and checking out the house with us. If you want to see more of our house and more before and afters, then you can follow us on @oldhouseourhome on Instagram.
And hopefully we'll be back on the Lick YouTube channel to update you in the new year with the next project that we have and the next finished room.
Exciting times.